Hello, welcome to our presentation about local food movement. This presentation was prepared by Shane Lowe, Siting Zhang, Rachel Su, and myself, Simon Sakib. The points we'll be going over today are the overview of local food movement, its benefits, drawbacks, and models and cases.
So we will start off by defining exactly what local food is. The purpose of the local food movement is to minimize the food miles, which is the amount of miles between the production of the food and the consumption of the food. There are two primary types of distribution when it comes to local food. The first is direct to consumer, which is directly from the farmer to the consumer via farmers markets. The second would be direct to retail, which would go towards schools, hospitals, and restaurants. It can be hard to come up with a specific definition of what local food is, but we've got two examples here, one being from Gary Nabin, an author. He defines local food as anything that is grown or produced within 250-mile radius. In a similar fashion, dietitian Joan Gassow defines it as food that can be produced within a day's leisurely drive of our homes. As we will see later on in the presentation, there are other ways to define local food. So why buy local food? The first reason would be the sense of connection that customers feel. They get to meet the farmers who have grown the food and get to know them on a personal level. The second reason would be the quality of the product. They know that the food is organically grown and it would be chemical free and free of genetically modified ingredients. The next reason would be for the impact it has on the environment. Food that isn't considered local food may have to travel upwards of 1,500 miles to get to the local supermarket. So this would save fuel in the machines and the transportation. The last reason for buying local food would be showing support for the local farmers. In recent years, there have been a decline in people purchasing from local farmers, and they've been struggling financially, and this would increase demand for their products.
Economic benefits. Adopting a local food movement system brings in various benefits. Such benefits can be economic, environmental, physiological, and social in nature. We will now look at the benefits more in depth. When food is bought locally, the middleman is cut out. This allows farmers to retain a greater portion of the profits from the sale. This in turn means more of the money you spend stays within your local community. Local food movement allows small businesses to flourish, which are some of the largest employers in North America. Thereby supporting local food movement also reduces unemployment in the local region. Lastly, it has been proven that when restaurants and other firms advertise local food, their demand increases. This overall allows for larger profits within the local community. Environmental benefits. Eating locally helps preserve local and small-scale farmland. In these farms, we have a wide genetic diversity due to local food movement because local food movement demands such a variety of foods. Genetic diversity is key to maintaining a healthy ecosystem. Because food is not being transported very far, it reduces transportation costs and fossil fuel usage. This means local food movement indirectly helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Health benefits. Studies have shown that local foods are linked to reduced food safety risks. Eating local food itself is correlated with improved nutrition. This is because local food is fresh and less processed. This all contributes to the decrease in obesity and diet-related chronic disease. Social benefits. When buying locally, buyers and suppliers have a chance to connect beyond just their transaction relationship. By talking to the people who grew/produced your food, communities can become closer. Because increased communication between buyers and sellers, the consumer is more informed regarding pesticides, herbicides, growth hormones, animal treatment, fertilizers, and any other issues surrounding food production. Sellers also have an incentive to practice more ethical forms of food production.
This is an illustration by the U.S. Department of Agriculture that ties in every type of benefit that has been touched upon.
We will now discuss the drawbacks in depth. Economic. The prices are higher because there are fewer customers, not like a large retail business, mostly family-oriented. Poor countries that export largely to wealthier countries may suffer if these large countries cut them off in favor of local food options. Local food requires external financing. There are higher social and environmental costs which is not in smaller budgets. Because it is a relatively new concept, there is often a lack of knowledge and experience when it comes to operating local food business. Social drawbacks. Local food movement markets are scarce and less convenient. They have a lack of certain food. They do try to satisfy the food diversity, but often are unable to meet them, unlike a supermarket. Health drawbacks. There is no official regulation for the foods. We can't really ensure the safety or confirm that it was grown organically. Additionally, there's also a restricted food option. Notably, local food movement market tends to solely focus on vegetables and fruits, but not other food like meat, which is also important for the diet. Environmental drawbacks. Local food movement is typically associated with inefficient use of land. It also uses atypical means of agricultural maintenance, which can lead to higher costs if there is climate change. Okay, technological drawbacks. Typically, local food movement does not have access to technology that is very advanced, which can lead to supply instability. Political and legal drawbacks. Oftentimes, farms that provide local food movement don't have special standards set for them. Normal farms have a different set of standards that might not apply to local food movement. This is a problem, and this can cause health issues.
Lastly, we will move on to talk about different economic models and a case. The first economic concept that we will look at would be externalities and social costs. For externality, the obvious would be the negative production externality of pollution and greenhouse gas production. But a positive production externality would be the type of fertilizer that these local farmers use could actually be better for the environment. When it comes to social cost, there is a cost of more expensive food, of course, and also there's a smaller selection because of foods that are seasonal or regional, as talked about in the last section. When looking at opportunity costs in the local food movement, the foregone opportunity could be the big chain grocery store, and the costs would be finding a local food market to go to, and then the inconvenience of having to travel to that place and the time lost going there. Demand is determined by taste and income. Taste would be, someone has a preference for fresher foods or knowing where their food comes from, going to the farmer's market, that would determine if they're going to go with local food. And income, it has been shown that those with higher income, higher capital, prefer to shop for fresher foods. The market structure of the local food movement would be a competitive one. We would say it was perfect competition, except not everyone is a price taker. They actually set their own prices. Next, we have a case study following Filipino immigrants in San Diego, California. And what it's looking at is how they define what local is. Local to them is based on how they conceptualize the local scale. To these immigrants, local can mean one of many things. The first would be the American junk food that most partake of. The next would be food from within their little neighborhood. And last could be even within their ethnic community. Local food could refer to food from the Philippines that they've grown up on, the traditional food that they like to eat, which wouldn't be necessarily grown by local farmers, right? So because of this, definitions of what local food is have to be flexible, because if it's referring to just the local farmers in San Diego, then this could alienate the immigrants and the types of food that they maybe want or like. That concludes our presentation, and we'd like to thank you for watching, and we hope you learned something today.